What's up YouTube, AbSoLooT here with another video. This is on the Girl Stampede Chick-a-Pede version 2. Take 2 on this truck for a girl truck. I did a little bit something with the old one, and this one I'm rebuilding. So you guys probably already know the story. This is number 2. So here we go. I got the servo mounted, and then I also have the servo wire routed accordingly as what I do. So this is something I do and take time and do it. It takes a minute to go ahead and do so. I'm going to lift this felt over here, which is usually strapped in place. But as you guys can see here, the servo wire leads down. As you can see, it's covered. I Dremel out little channels for it on the front and a small one on the back. And then as you can see, I put double-sided servo tape to hold that felt in. I've had a lot of people ask me how I do that. So it's pretty simple. I don't really need to do a how-to video, I don't think. Specific Dremel tool that I use, one that you'll have to purchase individually. So if you guys want me, I'll show you which one that's going to be. You're going to look for something like that. Actually have 2 sizes. It does come in handy. You're going to look for something like this. And then also when you want to clean it out and things like that, you're going to want something like this. So, but you can make it happen with just even maybe one of these. It would probably take a little longer, but you can definitely make it happen. So that's, of course, I reroute. That's a much cleaner look than having it run on top. I don't suggest this for everybody because the maintenance on this does take longer time. Whereas before you could just, normally you could just pop it out from the top and replace the servo real quick if you have a busted one or something of that nature. With this setup, I have to take off the waterproof box, the ESC, the mounting plate, and then I have to disconnect it when I pop that off because I wire underneath and things are wired underneath. So you guys have seen the trucks. If not, check out another video to see what I'm talking about. So, okay, I'm going to continue on the front end here, get this wrapped up, and we'll continue. Okay, so on the front end, I'm going to put this together, this last piece with you guys, basically. We have our RPM casters here, RPM carriers, Team Fast Edding, brand new rubber sealed black ball bearings, and then also, of course, new shafts. I'm going to build this last section here with you guys. Insert drive shafts. Place your 5x8 by 0.05 Teflon washer. And then you're going to take your suspension pin. These are always good to have extras around if you just got a truck. Pick some of these up as well because these are easily lost, and sometimes actually the tiny tolerances in the manufacturing sometimes make a difference from one another. So where one may fit a little bit better than the other. Slide that in. There should be no binding at this point right now. And then also take your hex adapter, wheel hex adapter. These come gray. I actually went ahead, the thick ones for the front come gray. I have dyed these previously black, and so that's why it's black now. And slide it in. If all goes well, it should click right in. Perfect. Alright, now one thing I noticed with these RPM carriers is they actually don't have very much slop at all. Real nice, not very sloppy at all. Very, very tiny little tolerances there. Very, very little bit of slop. So I'm impressed with that too as well. So again, this is my first time running RPM. I usually run aluminum. I'll definitely still be switching out these casters to aluminum, however. But I'm actually excited about this so far. So here we are. Okay, so now we're going and installing the RPM caster and carrier upon the ProTrack arm. Now, one thing with ProTrack arms, I love them. I absolutely love them. I love the width and the look and the whole thing. But one thing about them is they sometimes, I think they change the way that they cool their process, where it's almost like the part shrunk just a little bit. So the same thing happened here, where this, it's fitting okay, but there's just a little tight, and I like them to be really, really free-flowing. That's actually one thing I believe that prevents a lot of breakages, is instead of parts, when they're doing their suspension thing, as that flies off, when they're doing the suspension thing, there's binding here, instead of that just being a nice, free-flowing, smooth action, things can get bound up and just that instant just break. So I like both this part and this part to be nice and free-flowing. Now, when I did this, I had to do the same thing in the front. I had to take my Dremel tool here with this bit, as you guys can see there, just a metal shaving bit, and actually just take it in a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, show you guys the results. Okay, so I've taken that down, put the screw in, it actually felt okay, but when I went ahead and put the suspension pin in, it's still feeling a little too tight, guys. This is really a crucial area that you want this to be very, very free-flowing. There's a lot of suspension action that's going on. And one reason why I believe a lot of people break linkages is because there are things get bound up, and instead of the suspension performing and just taking the heat and doing its work, things get bound and bam, snap, there goes your link. So It's, you know, it's okay. A lot of people would just overlook this and continue building the truck right now, but it's still, I wish you guys could feel this, it's still a little too tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this back off, take it down some more. Okay, so I got that mounted up. While doing so, I actually discovered something, however. It looks like actually RPM casters don't work well with ProTrack arms. Upon turning, I'm getting a little binding right there, as you can see. Just that, if you can see, just that little bit of movement right there, that binding. Looks like it's rolling up on top of the bottom of the arm. It's a little too thick for that. You can probably see right there at the very bottom. It's just kind of going over the hump right there, and it takes a little effort to make it pop, if you will. So looks like I'm going to be going with aluminum casters sooner than I thought. I'm going to actually be getting some purple ones for this truck. I'm going to still keep the RPM carriers. I'm going to get some purple casters. So I was hoping to at least use these for a little bit and give them a try, but it's not even working with them. So I'm kind of disappointed about that. I could, if I wanted to, take it down here and modify this arm and shave some off the bottom there so that it's a little bit free-flowing. I'll take a closer look to see how much I'd have to take off, but it looks like it's too significant that I don't really want to mess with that. So definitely a shame there. I got that slop fixed for the most part. It's still a little tight. I'm actually got to take that back out and go into it and still do it. Funny because actually when I had it with the screw off, it looks smooth enough. With the screw back on, it tightens up again. So watch out for that, guys. Take a little bit off at a time, put it back on, take a little bit off, put it back on, repeat. Okay, next step. Okay, guys, here we go. Front of the truck is essentially all but complete. You guys can see how put together she is. The servo wire has been ran. You can see there the high-tech 645 servo running down in the middle of the chassis. You can see the servo wire popping out right here. Of course, a felt pad underneath. You can see how I have it hooked up there, running underneath there with symmetrical tape, and then also that double-sided servo tape to hold the felt pad in place. I haven't taken those off, of course, to permanently strap this on. I do that as one of the last steps in case I need to get back in there, rip it off for any reason. Hope not. It's never fun. RPM front mounts, RPM front shock tower, of course ProTrack arms, big bore shocks, RPM shock covers, custom dyed pink parts including the springs, aluminum links here that have been deanodized, RPM rod ends that were once white and dyed pink, RPM caster blocks, bearing carriers, and STRC hinge pins, and of course Racer's Edge purple aluminum hardware. So just in the front end you can see how many modifications there are. Like most of my trucks, nothing's really too stock. So, but there's the front end of the truck, guys. Again, this is going to be this is the Chick-a-Pede version 2. I'm not too content with these RPM caster blocks. They cause binding in two different areas, both on steering and turning, and then also just doesn't really fit right with the ProTrack arms and things like that. So I'm going to be switching those out, and then also likely the bulkhead as well to a purple aluminum bulkhead. I even have plans for this truck in the future to possibly turn into a gravedigger. Keep the purple hardware, replace the pink with green, essentially. So we'll see how that goes. But there you guys go. Keep following along as I'll keep having this truck come together. Again, this is the Chick-a-Pede version 2. In the meantime, catch you guys later.